What's up, guys? And then there were four. The divisional round has come to an end, and we are now on to the championship round of the NFL playoffs. Personally, while there was certainly some incredible football being played over the weekend, the games themselves weren't particularly entertaining, in my opinion. The Bengals shocked the football world by blowing out the favored Bills, despite having half of their offensive line on crutches. The Giants-Eagles game was pretty much over in about 15 minutes. The Cowboys-Niners game was low scoring and frankly low action as well. And the Chiefs game was much more one-sided than maybe the 27-20 final scoreline would indicate. But all that considered, this weekend was a big deal. In this video, like I did with the wild card round, I'm going to be going over my picks for the unsung heroes of the divisional round matchups over the weekend. So I'll quit rambling, let's get right into it. The unsung hero in the matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers, I'm going to go with Fred Warner of the San Francisco 49ers. I don't know about you guys, but I expected some points to be put up on the scoreboard. This game ultimately came down to the defensive play, and nobody shined brighter in this testy matchup than Warner. This guy led that San Fran defense against Dak and the Cowboys by racking up 9 combined tackles. He recorded a tackle for a loss, a pass defended, and he had a huge interception in the second quarter of the game. It seemed like this dude was just absolutely everywhere. This was honestly an easy pick for me, so I'm going with Fred Warner. For my second unsung hero in the NFC East blowout between the Eagles and the Giants, the unsung hero that I'm going with is Eagles rookie running back Kenneth Gainwell. Gainwell ran the ball 12 times for 112 yards, which is over 9 yards per carry. He hauled in 1 catch for 12 yards, and he got into the end zone. As this is the first game that he's ever rushed for over 100 yards in his entire, short career, it's pretty clear that this is the best game of his career, and the best game he's ever had as a pro. And his performance came in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. I don't know what Philly is going to end up doing with Miles Sanders after this year, and while it is clear that Miles Sanders is an absolute stud, I could honestly understand if they decide to save their money and stick with Gainwell and go with him as their franchise running back of the future, at least until his rookie deal is up. This man put on a show versus the Giants. Yes, the Eagles have proved in that matchup that they have one of, if not the best offensive lines in all of football. And it makes it a lot easier to run the ball and pass the ball and do frankly anything when your offensive line is as good as they are. But with us NFL football fans getting one of our first glimpses of what that 23-year-old Gainwell can do with a block or two was something special in my opinion. So I'm going with Gainwell. For my first pick in the AFC, in the matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Jacksonville Jags, the unsung hero that I'm going with is backup quarterback Chad Henne. Pat Mahomes, no doubt, caused some Chiefs fans' hearts to stop, at least for a second, when he sprained his ankle and limped off to the sidelines in the second quarter. And he ultimately ended up being able to finish the game, so that was nice. With all that said, when Mahomes went down for that drive, Chad Henne had to step in, and they had to start the drive on the 2-yard line. And the Michigan man marched down the field and executed a perfect drive that was capped off with a goal line touchdown pass to Travis Kelce. In case you haven't heard, that Kelce guy, yeah, he's pretty good. Henne made sure that KC did not give up any momentum, and he actually went 5 for 7 for 23 yards. The weird thing is, I don't know if there are many QBR people out there. I'm not personally one of them, but just with that single drive, his QBR at the end of the game was actually a couple ticks higher than Pat's. I'm not saying he had a better game than Pat, but just an interesting little stat. But the guy was fantastic. He stepped in when they needed him, and he delivered. And due to the fact that KC only did win the game by 7 points, that drive ended up being absolutely critical in hindsight. Kelce even offered to give him his game ball, but he didn't need to because Henne already had one of his own. For my final pick, the unsung hero over the weekend of the divisional round of the playoffs, in the matchup between the Bengals and the Bills, I'm going to go with the entire offensive line for the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to be honest, I was fearing for Joe Burrow's life going into this matchup this weekend. In case you haven't heard, the Bengals have been riddled with injuries all on their offensive line. Jonah Williams, in particular, their starting left tackle, which for those of you who aren't familiar, that's the most important person on your offensive line. But during the game last week, the wild card round, Jonah Williams went down and he was taken off to the sidelines and he was rolled out for the rest of the game. He did an MRI shortly after, and it turned out that my man dislocated his kneecap. Apparently, it's very difficult to play offensive line in the NFL without both kneecaps. So he wasn't playing either. So somehow they found a way to piece together some sort of line, some sort of protection for Joe Burrow to do what he does. And these guys were phenomenal. I think Joe was only hit 3 times throughout the entire game. He was only sacked once. And the offensive line didn't only protect Joe Burrow, they also protected Joe Mixon. Somehow, Mixon found a way to rush the ball 20 times for over 100 yards, and he's got in the end zone and scored a touchdown. The Bengals overall finished the game with over 150 yards on the ground. I found myself just kind of in awe seeing how long Joe Burrow had to just kind of sit back, relax, sitting back in the pocket and just waiting for a guy to come open, and they did. That receiving core is pretty lethal. So I really can't say enough about the performance this group of guys put on during that game. I thought it was kind of funny, actually, watching the post-game interviews. They were interviewing these guys after the game and talking about how great of a job they did, and they kind of seemed off guard and unprepared. You know, part of being a member of the offensive line is that you kind of accept the fact that you're always going to be an unsung hero. You know, you're never going to be the headline of any sports article. You know, rarely are you going to be. You accept the fact that you are not the superstar of the team. You're not the Jamar Chases or the Joe Burrows and Joe Mixons that are constantly bombarded with question after question. And so this group of guys seemed kind of unprepared and uncomfortable with all the media attention, and honestly, it was super cool to see. I was really happy for them. So anyway, those are my unsung heroes of the divisional round of the 2022-23 NFL playoffs. As always, if you got anything out of this video, please consider hitting that like button, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button as well. I plan on posting pretty regularly, so if you have any interest whatsoever in catching any of my future videos, hit the notification bell as well. And with 4 teams remaining, I would love to hear who you guys have going all the way, so feel free to comment below. With my Bills no longer in the picture, at this point I think I'm going Philly. It's important to keep it in perspective that, you know, while Philly destroyed the Giants and the Niners just barely got by the Cowboys, the Giants are not the Cowboys. The Cowboys are much better than the Giants are. So it's not apples to apples. You know, you can't just look at the 2 games and decide that, you know, Philly is way better than San Fran because of their performances. But Philly did exactly what they were supposed to do against the Giants, and I really mean it. I think that game was over in about 15 minutes. So I'm going Philly. Anyway, if you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.